Hey guys, today we're gonna be complaining about Labyrinth again. But before that, I think probably the strongest team or best team out there will probably be this one. So I'm totally locking in A1 here. So let's do that. A1. The reason being, if you see the guy on the left here, I'm pretty sure this guy is actually the guy who got first in the world event or whatever, the qualifier. And I think that's good enough of a reason. I could elaborate, but yeah. The guy grinded the most, and he's pretty good from what I can tell. So whatever. Kind of awkward here, but whatever. So anyway, with Labyrinth. Labyrinth has a lot of annoying things. So first, despite being a control deck, Labyrinth can actually play quite a bit on your turn. To an annoying degree, actually. So let's just go put in some cards. We'll do, I don't know. Actually, they only play one Lovely, apparently. You don't need to play multiple Lovely, but you do play multiple Lady Labs. And I think you also play Clue Clock. I don't know why I have no copies of Clue Clock, but alright, I guess I don't. Cool. So then, I think you also only play one copy of Welcome Labyrinth. You play no copies of Labyrinth Rush. It's like one copy of Labyrinth. And then you have like 3 copies of Big Welcome. And then I don't think you might play like one of Arion or none of Arion, I believe. Let's see. I think you might play one of Arion to send Big Welcome, like for specific cases. But like aside from that, it's probably like, yeah, that's probably fine, honestly. And then for hand traps, you'd probably play like Maxi or something, because yes. And then Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring, like that, and that should be good, I think, in terms of hand trap. You can play also Called By if you want, but I don't think you actually need Called By. So we'll just skip on Called By for now, I guess. And let's move along, and I think it's mostly just trap cards now. So it's like Trap Trick 3. It's like 2 or 3 copies of like Trap Trick. And then I don't think the extra deck like matters a whole lot. You don't really go into the extra deck that much. But anyways, like Extrav honestly should already be like semied by now. It's kind of like just do it, I guess. Like not much to say. Prosperity, it was at like 3 at the start of Master Duel, I believe, but now it's at 1. Why have we not hit Extrav yet? Semi-limit Extrav is fair, in my opinion, because like Eldlick, like even when Eldlick was a thing, they didn't hit Extrav. I mean, just hitting the floodgates actually did help a bit, but does Extrav deserve a hit? Maybe it does now. A semi at least, is how I'm feeling. But I don't know. Let me think about it. Yeah, stun's still a thing. Yeah, hit Extrav. Thanks. That's kind of how it feels, huh? I don't know what other decks play Extrav aside from like, I guess like control decks and just stun. So, as I don't like to play against those, I guess semi-limit it. But I don't like it feel too mean to completely kill the decks too hard by like completely removing Extrav, I guess, but conflicting. Well, whatever. Next, I guess we can put in Prosperity, because like, why not? And then there is Dimensional Barrier, and then we'll just work out the ratios after we figure it out, I guess. So, Dimensional Barrier, and then we have Eradicator. And then, is there anything else that we need? Solemn Judgment. Oops. How you spell this is actually pretty weird for whatever reason. It's like Judgment, I think? Yeah, there we go. And then, I don't know. Do they even play like Lord of the Heavenly Prison? Do you even need this guy? You might not need this guy, actually. It's pretty messed up. Solemn Judgment is probably better. Like, no joke. Well, we'll keep it at 42 for now. I don't feel like fixing the ratios on this. But, yep. This is, like, the general, like, gist of things, I guess. And then let's just put in some random stuff in the extra deck. Because I feel like it, I guess. Let's do Five-Headed Dragon. Five-Headed Dragon. And then Tri-Headed Dragon. Sounds good to me. And then, I don't know, let's fill the rest of the deck with, like, Trishulas. Sure. Whatever. Does not matter. Okay. So, this list actually is still wrong. Let's do Ghastly Glitch. We need copies of Ghastly Glitch. Actually, I'm pretty sure. And then we need to do Backjack. And this looks a little bit better, actually, yep. And then it's like the ratios need to be fixed on this a bit. I'm pretty sure this is okay. And Welcome is still at 1 anyways. 45 should be okay. It doesn't really matter to me personally. But like, could be fixed to make it better a little bit. Yeah, whatever. So the annoying thing that this deck can do, the first thing, of course, is they can go ahead and let's assume pretty generously, I suppose, that like your opponent has like, I don't know, it doesn't really matter what your opponent has, but like, let's say for example your opponent is playing, let's just go with Tearlament, alright? So before your opponent can even do anything, we can go ahead and activate Labyrinth, Stovey, Torby, and then from our hand, discard Absolute King Backjack. This triggers Backjack's effect to stack your deck, and then if any of those top 3 cards are Dimensional Barrier or Trap Trick, then your opponent can use the other effect of Backjack over here to set the card from the top of your top card of your deck, and then you can activate it this turn. So then like Dimensional Barrier, Declare Fusion, and this is all in the first turn on your like standby phase. So you also can't triple tactics this, which is pretty gross. I mean, it's RNG for Backjack to like hit specifically like Dimensional Barrier, but if we do this, right? Now we have essentially 6 copies of Dimensional Barrier that can be hit off of Backjack on the first turn. And all we need to do is open Backjack with either like Labyrinth Chen Draglier or Labyrinth Stovey Torby. And this will also allow us to set a Labyrinth Spell Trap. The only difference between Chen Draglier and Stovey Torby, as far as I'm aware, is that Stovey Torby special summons itself, and Chen Draglier adds itself back to your hand. Aside from that, they both just set whatever Labyrinth card you want. And Pot of Extrav is not that big of a brick, because they can simply just discard it off of Labyrinth Chen Draglier to get it out of their hand to keep their more high value cards, like, for example, like Solemn Judgment, I guess. Which is something they can just do, which is kind of annoying, really. And, of course, because a lot of their effects aren't actually typical searches, it's actually even more annoying to deal with. I believe there's like a way for them to do a really annoying chain order as well. So, I don't remember the exact order, let me think. Yeah, got it. So, if we have Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, I believe it was something like that, right? Then, even if you Ash, I believe it doesn't even go neutral for you, right? I don't think you stop their play. That's what it was. but even like if you top deck a Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring later, it's completely useless because of lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. So you can't Ash Chandraglier, you cannot Ash Stovey because they set a card to the field, which is not something that is listed on Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So you can't do anything with that, which is annoying. So any deck that basically can completely ignore Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, in my opinion, is pretty disgusting, or they have like a pretty consistent way to play whilst ignoring Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Pretty disgusting. So anyway, the only like important thing you can Ash is just Ariana, I believe. This is probably the best point to try an Ash Blossom, maybe. It kind of depends a bit though. But focusing up again. Okay. So these guys set on the field, so you can't actually Ash them. And then welcome Labyrinth and big welcome if lovely Labyrinth is on the field. Then you cannot respond to normal trap cards with monster effects, which is what Ash Blossom is. Right here, this effect to stop a search or whatever. This is a monster effect, so of course you cannot use this in response anymore. So that's really annoying, so you can no longer stop like a big welcome or Ghastly Glitch. This is actually ashable, but not if your opponent like has a lovely Labyrinth, which is somewhat annoying. Happens though. And also worth mentioning is that like both of their like kind of boss monsters right now, I don't know why, but they each have essentially 3 effects, and they can just be special summoned off of setting a card and then flipping it over again, you know? Just activating one trap. And then you have just this 3 effect monster. At least with like, for example, Kaleido Heart or Rukalos, for example, in Tearlament. These guys do have like essentially like 3 different effects. So this has battle protection for Aqua monsters aside from itself, and then it has when your opponent activates a card or effect that includes an effect that special summons a monster, negate the activation, then destroy it. And then if this fusion summon card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon this card. I do count Kaleido Heart as like having 3 effects as well, because the Foolish Burial is like an effect on its own pretty much for like a lot of like decks and stuff, but Kaleido Heart happens to have like both effects kind of like tied into as one. So if you negate it, I guess you only get like one of the effects being like the target effect, I guess, here, where you shuffle back a card. So Kaleido Heart has a shuffle, and I guess it also cannot be used as fusion material, so if you're really ballsy, you can count this as like 4 effects, I guess. But you also need to have Tearlament's Rhino Heart, and then 2 Aqua monsters, and then some way to do the fusion summon, which is like, you know, requires some brain cell activation, I guess. Tearlament Kick Kalos plus 1 Tearlament monster. This isn't like super hard. You'd need like 2 Tearlament monsters to do this, I guess, right? You could argue 1 with Rhino, kind of, right? But like technically with like, I don't know, if you flip over Welcome Labyrinth, you can just summon like Lady Labyrinth or lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, which has like about the same amount of effects, which is crazy. And then like if you take into account what I said before, there's also like activate Labyrinth Coup Clock, activate Labyrinth Coup Clock, and then you can like Chandraglier as well. And then you also like Coup Clock just keeps resetting itself like constantly as well, which is pretty annoying. Well, actually, maybe Called By isn't that bad against them, is it? Does this banish for cost? Ah, banish this card from the graveyard as cost. So you can't even Called By Backjack. I have no idea what you're supposed to do against Backjack then, huh? Yeah, there's nothing you can do about Backjack. That's actually really annoying, because every part of this like gets rid of it for cost, unless you can somehow negate monster effects already, or negate, like, banish monsters or something crazy. Like, I don't see a way to negate backjack. Like, cross out backjack? That's about it, right? Ugh, that's annoying as hell. Well, whatever, I guess. So, anyways, focusing back on this. Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. This allows you to, basically set any normal trap in the game that you want. And the most disgusting one and most annoying one, of course, is Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier is not something you easily have an answer to. And after they set, like, Dimensional Barrier, they can activate it on the same turn with Coup Clock. And then on top of that, they can just keep resetting it with Lovely Labyrinth for the rest of the duel. And this is like a Lingering Floodgate like Scythe. So this is arguably worse to deal with than Scythe Block, because Scythe Block is only for one turn. This is pretty much for the rest of the duel. Like, there's no good way to get rid of Dimensional Barrier for most decks. The only way I can see you getting rid of the Dimensional Barrier on a later turn, which isn't even that good of a play, would be to, like, DD Crow Dimensional Barrier. So the tools simply don't really exist to deal with Labyrinth in a super easy way, which is really annoying, because, like, for combo decks, not necessarily like all combo decks, like for example Tearlament, Sprite, whatever, you can just drop Nibiru on like every single combo player ever, and damn, that's really hard to deal with, right? Or like you drop a Dark Ruler no more. There is no response that can be made, like Solemn Judgment, for example. Damn. So Red Reboot is actually respondable, right? Let's see. Yeah, this is respondable. When your opponent activates a trap card, negate the activation, and if you do set that card face down, then they can set one other trap directly from their deck for the rest of this turn. After this card resolves, your opponent cannot activate trap cards. You can activate this card for your hand by paying half your life points. So Red Reboot, honestly, not good enough as it happens. The only thing that's good about Red Reboot, like, that's super notable, in like when you have to compare it to cards like Dark Ruler no more, which can't be responded by like can't be responded to by monsters and like Forbidden Droplet and stuff. Red Reboot is a counter trap, meaning it can only be responded to by counter traps, but Solemn Judgment here is a counter trap, and you could perfectly play this, and this would be your answer to like Evenly Matched and like a Duster as well. So not a super big deal. And what's even more annoying is like Big Welcome Labyrinth, actually. So assuming like you're going second into Labyrinth, they probably have either Lady Lab or Lovely Lab on their field. There's like a good chance that happens, right? And they can reset Big Welcome, or they can just set a Big Welcome, whichever the case. If you then go ahead and Duster this off the field, it has this effect that is essentially a quick effect, because it's a trap that your opponent can use like at any time. As long as they control a level 8 or higher Fiend monster, they can target a card you control, generic, any card. It's not like just a monster, not just a spell trap, any card, and then return it to your hand. So this is like a compulse, the same as like, for example, Therion. I don't remember what the name for it was, but Foom. So same as Foom for whatever reason, which is really annoying. Even more so if they just like used the Big Welcome, right? On the first turn, like, I don't know, normal summon Ariana, activate Labyrinth Coup Clock, and then like activate Big Welcome, returning Ariana, special summoning like, I don't know, Lady Labyrinth. And then they set some cards and pass if they don't have anything else to activate, I guess. And that's pretty annoying, because they'll have Lady Labyrinth, which has protection, which is hard to remove. But if you don't remove it, like, let's assume you have Raigeki or something, you can't remove it, right? But if you don't remove it, then Big Welcome can kind of like compulse a card. And this actually has extra utility on it as well, because you can target a fiend monster you control and return it to the hand as well. So that allows them to also return like their Arianas and whatnot from like a compulse. So the most annoying utilization of this kind of thing would be like Labrynth Chandraglier, discarding Big Welcome, normal summon Ariana, and then that plays around Imperm, and you have like no way to Imperm your opponent, like at this point. Speaking of which, you can't Imperm Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle because it is targeting protection as well. So nothing you can do about that, but if you tried to Imperm this anyways, you'd have to do it in chain. Because if you didn't, the Lady Labyrinth can chain to your like Imperm, because this is on any normal trap card that was activated. Right? So then they can grab like Dimensional Barrier, Eradicator, Epidemic Virus, they can grab Ghastly Glitch, Big Welcome, whatever. And also worth mentioning is that Labrynth Chandraglier, Stovey Torby, Ariana, the Labyrinth Servant, all of them allow them to grab any Labyrinth card. And this might not be like noticeable to you guys, but like it's pretty noticeable actually to an extent. Like even if we go to like, for example, tier limits, there are barely any cards that actually activate and allow you to grab any tier limits card from your deck or give you access to any of them, and not in such a large quantity. So Rhinoheart specifically can only send a Tearlament monster from your deck to the graveyard. Tearlament's Kaleidoheart, which is somewhat hard to make, needs to be sent to the graveyard by a card effect, which is actually somewhat weird to do, but assuming you do it, you can then send a Tearlament's card from your deck to the graveyard, which is a bit worse than just having it on your field. So it can like lead to it eventually to an extent. Like for example with Crime allows you to, well actually it's not Crime, right? It's, which one is it? Oh, Heartbeat. With Heartbeat, that can kind of work, or like with Scream, this allows you to add a trap, but Salik is at one, so they can't really add a Tearlament monster this way. But that kind of works. And then we have Tearlament Kick Kalos, which can just add a Tearlament card, so you have like two ways to kind of add a Tearlament card. Kind of weird. But then if we go ahead and count for like Labyrinth, 1, 2, 3, and this kind of works as well, because this allows you to special summon a level 4 or lower fiend monster from your deck in defense position. Wait, this is super generic. Any level 4 or lower fiend? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Wait, this can summon Kepler, can't it? Wow, that's weird. This doesn't lock you, right? Well, anyway. If you were to normal summon, special summon, Ariane, whatever, right? No, it has to be special summon from the hand. That's what it is. Okay. So if you use Ariana effect, that allows you to summon Ariana. And then Ariana allows you to add a Labyrinth card from your deck to your hand. Any Labyrinth card, of course. Literally any. You can add the field spell, you can add Lady Lab, you can add Lovely Lab, you can add Chandraglier, Stovey Torby, Goo Clock, any spell trap. And normally a lot of archetypes actually are limited in what they can search, and certain cards can't search both things. You can only typically search like one thing, like a spell or trap. Like even if we go to like, for example, Denlong, I believe. Denlong. Actually, wait, Denlong is one of the few ones that can add a Yangzing card from your deck to your hand. Alright. That's not the right card. Not Denlong. So, clearly I was thinking of Galatea. Galatea. Over here. This can set a Orcus spell trap directly from your deck. And only spell traps. This cannot set monsters or anything. It cannot put monsters anywhere. And that's the thing, I guess. Bardiche is not that good of an example, I guess. It doesn't really work like that. And then if we go to Sprite, of course, Sprite Jet is the only one that allows you to add a Sprite card. Only Jet allows you to, well, not even a Sprite card, a Sprite Spell Trap card. So like Sprite Starter, Sprite Smasher, Sprite Double Cross. Only Sprite Jet can search them, nothing else. Not the extra deck monsters, nothing. Nada. And I believe this also might extend to Tri-Brigades. I think only Beerbrum, I believe it was, can do their searches. So, like, let's see. You can add a Tri-Brigade spell trap from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. And this actually makes you kind of go, like, -1 in hand to do your search. You have to put back a card. And where does this place it? Bottom? Yeah, okay. So this puts the a card from your hand back to the bottom of the deck in order to do the search. But like Labyrinth, they don't just add a spell or trap, they add any Labyrinth card. The amount of cards that do this are like pretty low, actually. In fact, even if we go to, for example, Phantom Knights, aside from like Bardiche, right? For example, Phantom Knights of Silent Boots can only add Phantom Knight spell traps from your deck to your hand, and then Ancient Cloak can only add the Phantom Knights cards from your deck to their hand, which is a bit different. It's kind of weird. But the actually does matter, because not all of the cards here are the Phantom Knights. Like, Phantom Knight Spear is not the Phantom Knights Spear, you know? So you can't search that off of, like, Ancient Cloak. But like, for example, let's see where it is. My blindness is kicking in. The Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine is possible to add, for example. And then this one is not possible. This one is possible, so it's kind of like weird in this way. This is Phantom Knights rank up, not the Phantom Knights rank up, so you can't add that either. So that's a thing. And then Raider's Wing is always treated as the Phantom Knights card, so you can actually search this off of Ancient Cloak. So, a little janky there, but this is, like, somewhat close to what the Labyrinth cards do, but the Labyrinth cards can just add any Labyrinth card. Like, in some way, shape, or form, right? And if we count, of course, one more time, 1, 2, 3, 4... They have 4 cards that just can do their searches. And then, of course, if you also start accounting for, like, Welcome Labyrinth and Big Welcome, this will allow them to reset these things. And they can just do these searches, like, over and over again until they have, like, a crazy amount of resources that there's no way you can top deck anything to, like, deal with them, right? And it becomes pretty damn impossible to play against Lab after, like, a certain point. Even against Eldlik, it was not as bad, because Eldlik actually has this choke point called Eldlik, the Golden Lord. If you go ahead and, like, banish Eldlik, the Golden Lord, or whatever, or, like, start removing their Eldliks, and removing access to them, which is possible to an extent, right? Then that'll kind of shut them down, right? But the conditions on these cards are much more generic than Eldlik. For example, like Conquistador requires Eldlik, the Golden Lord, specifically, whereas if we go to Big Welcome, for example, this just requires a level 8 or higher Fiend monster. So either Lovely Lab or Lady Lab works for that. And can you get rid of both? Getting rid of both is a much taller order than just getting rid of a single Eldlik the Golden Lord. And of course, like, Eldlik keeps coming back, that's kind of his thing, but it's still not as annoying as, like, what Labyrinth does. Because Labyrinth can also bring back their Labyrinth monsters via, like, the effect of Labyrinth, whatever. And then there's also like the effect of Ariana to summon again. There is Welcome and Big Welcome. Welcome notably can only special summon from the deck, which isn't that bad because they can still use it to like special summon Ariana, for example, and then Ariana can just add Lady Labyrinth from, well, actually from the deck, it doesn't really matter, but I guess the play would be this. So you can get Ariana, and then like maybe return Ariana later as well. And then Ariana just keeps giving you resources as well. But Big Welcome makes a huge difference, being able to more easily recycle your Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, and of course it also allows you to activate Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle's effect. And this is particularly annoying because this is like as your opponent is doing their searches and stuff on the first turn, building up more resources and back row for you to have to deal with, Lovely Labyrinth can destroy like 2 cards in your hand before you can like even activate a card without even considering like Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card can just like destroy 2 cards in your hand, which is just pretty absurd. So assuming like you have no responses and your cards are like stuff like Extra, I guess, and well, not Extra exactly, but like something like that, I guess we'll say Desires. So you have like copies of like Desires or Allure or something like that, and then you have stuff like, I don't know, let's say you're playing DD, I guess, sure. It's relevant for the event, I guess, so. You have like copies of like Kepler, Griffin, whatever. Your opponent can just pop those in your hand and they'll just go straight to the graveyard before you can do a single thing. Which is crazy. And even if you're playing like a control deck, for example, they can pop your like Torrential or whatever before you have a chance to even set it. And I mean, even if you did set it, they could pop it anyways. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. Speaking of annoying, now that I think about it, Heavenly Lord. This would be so, like, obnoxious in the mirror because your best form of removal for, like, back row would probably be Destruction. And with Lord of the Heavenly Prison, neither player would really be able to, like, destroy back row. And I heard the mirror for this deck is not particularly fun because it's, like, so, like, you get so many resources with Labyrinth and you just can't really do much. Like Dimensional Barrier, that doesn't really do anything against Labyrinth in the mirror. I guess you're probably looking to resolve Eradicator Epidemic Virus and then maybe declare Trap multiple times. I think declaring it once might not be enough, honestly. Yeah, it actually isn't enough, is it? Because Lovely Labyrinth can still reset the traps, and then like Ariana adds, not draws, traps, right? Like, for example, you can just grab Big Welcome and then, with Ariana, set that, return Ariana to the hand, special summon, like, Lovely, or whatever. Yeah, that just sounds really unfun, actually. And then if you throw Lord of the Heavenly Prison into the mix, even more annoying. Well, whatever. Focusing back a little more. If we looked at, like, for example, like, some Halcyon combos before, aside from having Crossout to negate, there were, like, options you had that you could do to, like, stop them still. Like, notably, Gamma was really good, actually, at stopping Halcyon lines, because, the only way to reasonably stop Gamma is Crossout. If you have Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, that won't stop it. That won't do enough. And you can just trigger Gamma again. So, like, for example, activate Hulk effect, Gamma effect, chain Ash Blossom. I still have Gamma in my hand. And then I can, on Auroradon's activation, negate destroy Auroradon. And we're perfectly good. But against Labyrinth, there is no such choke point. There's nothing you can really do. Which is really annoying. Like, what am I supposed to do against this? The tools don't really super exist to deal with Labyrinth. It's just true. And I guess your best option at this point in time is to just put in copies of Red Reboot, and evenly matched, and hope for the best. Evenly matched somehow is not actually good enough to deal with Labyrinth to an extent. If your opponent has Chain on, the moment you enter battle phase, they can go ahead and start activating some of their effects and cycling stuff, and they'll still have interaction after evenly, which is, like, kind of insane. Like, really? You can do this? You're not joking. Come on. And of course, what they can do, of course, is like activate a trap card, for example. I don't know, they can compulse one of their cards back, and then they'll trigger all of their Labyrinth cards. Like, for example, if they have Labyrinth, Stovi Torby, or Ku-Klok, or Chendraglier, or whatever. Chendraglier is more annoying, I believe. But, anyways, they can use that to reset and activate some traps in main phase 2. And then Ku-Klok, so they can activate it after setting it, which is particularly annoying. And you just have no good way to deal with that at all. So if they have a good enough hand, evenly isn't enough to stop them, even if it completely resolves, which is just, like, really? Like, against, like, combo decks, for example, though, you can just drop Dark Ruler no more, and, like, 9 times out of 10 you're fine, because there are, like, a small handful of decks that end on, like, a counter trap, like, in terms of combo decks anyways. But even then, you still have, for example, Super Poly, and Super Poly just completely destroys, like, any board it works against, I guess. So, this is pretty hard to deal with. But there's nothing, like, even remotely close to Super Poly or anything against control decks, and honestly, I think, like, in a way, that's unfair. So, like, either combo decks deserve better, or control decks deserve worse. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So, I'm just waiting for, like, the equivalent of, like, Super Poly or something like that to drop so we can hit control decks with it, you know? They've had it too good for too long. Like, we're getting hit by skill drain and whatnot constantly, and we have Lord of the Heavenly Prison to deal with, Hugin, and now this stuff. Also, like, Tikaboo, I guess, Rivalry goes in. So there's some just absolutely some abhorrent, like, horrid floodgates that you might not even know about. So there's one I learned about recently. Unsecrated Light. Neither player can normal or special summon dark monsters or declare an attack with a dark monster. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with a dark monster. Also, you take no battle damage from that battle. This is basically Protoss at home. What? What is this? This is really annoying, actually. As it happens, this also stops, like, Bestials. Just, like, coincidentally as a side effect. But, like, really? This actually floodgates branded really hard. Let me think about this. What monsters can they actually summon aside from Dark? There's exactly one monster, I believe, they can summon. That can get through Consecrated Light, aside from, like, having Imperm or something for Consecrated Light. They had... Well, this random floodgate, I didn't even know existed till recently. But, anyway, focusing back up. The only card that they have that is summonable is, I believe, just a copy of Ecclesia, right? What was it called? What? Where is it? Oh, here we go. Blazing Cartesia, the Virtuous. I'm pretty sure this is a form of... This is, like, Ecclesia, I think. Well, this is Light. That's it. They would have to literally normal summon this and then attack over it. Aside from, like, having Imperm or something like that, right? Yeah, that's pretty dumb, isn't it? And then, if you didn't know, there's also, for example, Koiki Meru Doom. If I can find it in here. Boom. This is a floodgate too. Negate the effects of land dark monsters that activate during the main phase. Like, why not? There are just so many random floodgates now, you know? Just floating everywhere. And floodgates are considerably worse for combo decks, of course, because if you've noticed light and dark monsters that activate during the main phase, this actually somehow doesn't affect, like, Labyrinth that much. Can you believe it? Like, what? Really? Kind of absurd, honestly. Because they can do everything they want in, like, the standby phases. Or, like, just on their turn. You can't really activate the effect to floodgate your opponent out on their turn, right? And in terms of, like, negate all traps, for example, we don't have this, right? Yeah, Griffin Wing, that doesn't really do it. And yeah, nothing really shows up. Fist of Fate. Destroy all spell traps your opponent controls. Nothing. So, I believe, aside from, like, Royal Decree, there isn't any, like, floodgates targeted at traps specifically. Well, there is Jinzo, which is close, I guess. But, like, you know. Well, what if your opponent activates, like, Big Welcome and then just returns Jinzo? What then? Let's see, if another monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect, you can draw one card, then apply this effect. You can special summon a fiend monster or set a spell trap. What was Jinzo's stat line again? Just checking. Where is Jinzo? Ah, 2,400. 2,900. 3,000. Trap cards and their effects on the field cannot be activated. Negate all trap effects on the field. So, this can work, but I'm pretty sure even, like, in Labyrinth, they probably have a way to out Jinzo. Like, bruh. Like, I don't know, man. So, what's this say? If you activate a set Welcome Labyrinth, normal trap, you're going to add a destroy one card effect. You activate a non-normal trap card. Except during the damage step, you can special summon a fiend monster from your hand or graveyard. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? So, I think that's fine, but there's also just having Lady Labyrinth in your hand, I guess. So if we, let's say, for example, normal summon Ariana, add Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle to the hand, set, I don't know, whatever's fine. Do you need a set card or no? Let me see. Once per turn, if a Labyrinth card or effect of a normal trap card was activated this turn. Oh, nope. You're good. So all you have to do is activate a Labyrinth effect of some sort, and then you can go ahead and set Lady Labyrinth. And then, like, next turn, I guess just beat over Jinzo. Like, nothing's really stopping you from beating over Jinzo, I guess, right? So even if your opponent bothered to get Jinzo, yeah, not a particularly hard to, like, deal with monster here. Outing Jinzo, pretty reasonable, surprisingly. And that would be, like, depending on how many copies of Arion you run, I guess, like, 1, 2, 3 cards. And actually, wait, these cards count as Labyrinth cards, too. So if you just have Lady Labyrinth in your hand, that it's pretty much done. But if you have Arion by itself as well, that's probably enough to out Jinzo as well. And Jinzo is a bit annoying to, like, set up. I mean, like, if you have, like, Law of the Cosmos, I guess that kind of works, but still, you know? Not really going to happen. So, Jinzo, this somehow is not the option. It's just simply not good enough. It's actually crazy. But I mean, if you back Jinzo up with some other stuff, like, I don't know, like, if you did, like, a full Synchron combo or something, and you have, like, Crystal Wing, backing him up with, like, Cosmic Blazer, I guess you'd be fine, right? But Jinzo by itself somehow is not enough to floodgate out, like, an entire, like, control deck, and there's still plays that they can do. Unlike if you hit, like, a combo deck with Tikaboo. You know, there could be only one. Which is actually so hard to find, it's actually annoying, it's gonna piss me off, man. So, down here, Tikaboo, if this is on the field, like, the only thing you can do about this, if it's already, like, activated, you can, hope you draw a Duster. Yeah, That's about it. You have to just have back row removal in your hand. Like, your most, like, archetypes don't have, like, a good way to do it at all. Like, Cyberse has, like, a good one, I guess. Link Slayer. Discard up to 2 cards, then target that many spell traps on the field, destroy them. This would work. I guess. And then, for example, if we go to, like, tier limits, I guess that you have, like, tier limits heartbeat as, like, a one of, I guess. Which works, I suppose. And this is not really going to happen. It's like 1 in 40. Yeah. Like 1 in 10 games you will have heartbeat when you need it. Is probably what's expected, really. And then, like, if we go to, I don't know, what's a different combo deck? Let's go with this one. Adamantipator. If you have Tikaboo activated, what can they do? Nothing. There is no chance they can get into Adamantipator, Rise and Dragite. Yeah, there's nothing they can do. That's it. Tikaboo. Great card. Very cool. I mean, you can have back row removal in your hand, but, like, archetype-wise, you ain't got anything for this. I believe, like, I need to check real fast, but Xeno Guitar actually has something that might help you. If this card is sent to the graveyard at all, this allows you to add a you can target a rock monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Not good enough. If this card is banished from the field or graveyard, you can send a rock monster from your deck to the graveyard. That's the most relevant one, but I have to check it and make sure. I believe it was Revival Golem. Does this work? No. It wasn't Revival Golem then. It was something else. I don't remember then. What was it? Damn. Let's try Gigantus then, maybe? Is this the one? If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, destroy all spells and traps on the field. That's never gonna happen if your opponent's playing Runic Stun. Yeah. You're just gonna slowly get decked out, and, like, if you have an out in your deck, it'll just likely get banished. But, yeah, nothing you can really do, and honestly, like, if I wanted to, like, floodgate out, like, a Labyrinth player, what I would need is, first off, I need to be able to negate all traps, and then I have to negate all their monsters. Against a combo deck, I just negate all their monsters, and we're solid. Or we just negate summoning in some way, shape, or form, and then we're fine. And I guess you can, negate all summoning does also work on Labyrinth. But, that's kind of like Rongo territory, so Rongo mini-ad. Yeah, I don't think that's, like, really a good comparison for anything. This just kind of beats everything, so no outs for this, no matter what you're doing, really. You just have to kind of wait out Rongo minion, or for some reason have, like, XYZ Encore, I guess. Sure. Not much you can do, though, in general, aside from suffer. Well, I guess close second to Rongo Miniad is summoning Kelly Yuga on your opponent's turn. But they can play on your turn anyway, so yeah, good luck making Rongo or Kelly Yuga to begin with, I suppose, against this, which can play on your turn in a pretty obnoxious way. So it's like this and this, or this and this. Like, any combination of these guys can start to play on your turn, like if they start playing in your end phase. Pretty annoying, really. Not like a whole lot you can do, depending on the exact list you have. Like, even if you're playing, for example, Sword Soul and you have Protoss, this is pretty annoying, but I guess Protoss does help a little bit. Unless they set up Dimensional Barrier and declare Synchro on you. Yeah, maybe that's not the play either. Yeah, there aren't any, like, good main deck strategies right now. So, honestly, I think it's about time that we, put, like, Enchantress and Rite of Eramasir up a few copies. Like, I feel it's necessary to add diversity to, the deck list that we're playing and seeing in ranked, I would very much like to see increased copies of Water Enchantress and Rite of Aramesir. And that would help out a good bit in my opinion. And that'd be something I'd like to see. A legal knight. Well, this doesn't like completely solve the issue because you can still get hit by EEV, and then your Rite of Aramesir can get popped in your hand before you can even activate it. But, you know, this would just be nice to have back at like 2 at least. Like, Enchantress back to 2, or you could even put Enchantress to 3 right now, and it wouldn't be like that big of a deal in my opinion. A legal knight though, yeah, it would be nice if I could actually play this card. Yeah. So, a legal knight, I'd like to see this, honestly. I'd like to make some usage out of it, maybe. I don't think, like, anyone has really played a legal knight in Master Duel, mostly because, like, by the time, a legal knight was released, we were down to 1 copy of Enchantress and then 2 of Rite of Aramesir. And the package is, like, way too big to justify playing, like, a legal knight instead of, like, Griffin, in my opinion. And considering, like, the odds of being able to get into Water Enchantress and Rite of Aramesir and still be playing, like, something decent. Yeah, that kinda sucks, to an extent. Like, I can kind of understand the justification at the time, but, like, at this point in the game, I think we can get more copies of Enchantress or, like, Rite of Aramesir, but I prefer Enchantress because, of course, like, discard Enchantress for cost and then, like, do search for Rite of Aramesir is the preferable line in, like, nearly every situation. But, like, having Rite of Aramesir in your hand is not entirely bad either because you can, like, activate Rites and then special summon Enchantress. And then add Rites again for next turn and thin out your deck, whatever. I guess. Yeah, but the fact that this doesn't actually quite cut it either is kind of annoying. Well. What can we do about this? Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can really super do. I guess, like, try for Ghost Spell and stuff. Maybe. I mean, there's no way to stop, like, the activation of Labyrinth, Chandreglier, or Stoby Torby. Because this is a quick effect. And it sets a card instead of, like, adding a card, so there's nothing that stops that. And like, literally nothing you can do except, I guess, Floodgate all, like, Dark Monster effects or something, somehow. I guess. And since these require special summonings, I guess, you somehow negate their special summon, so, like, negate the special summon of all dark monsters, I guess. You could do that, I guess, but also, like, what the hell deck are you playing if it doesn't have any dark monsters in it? I kind of feel that way. Well, whatever the case, that's all I've got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.